Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 4301 DRL, dark bronze anodized aluminum automatic door bottom with sponge neoprene insert, surface and semi-mortise mounted unit. That was a lot what I just said. Let's start at the beginning. Let's dissect it. The 4301 is representative of what I would call a heavy-duty automatic door bottom that can be installed either surface mounted or semi-recessed to the face of the door. We'll go over that more in a moment. The D in the part number means dark bronze. This is available in a clear anodized aluminum housing as well. And the RL is a reference to your sponge neoprene insert that's here. Not only that though, it's also a reference to the strip of felt that you see here. Trying to get the camera to focus on that a little bit better for us. We can see it if I extend the bottom down. There it is, it's sticking out. Now, what that does, your RL, is going to give you this really wide, very substantial amount of surface area, okay, for this sort of door bottom. A lot of surface area, a lot of points of contact with the floor to prevent that air infiltration. The insert of felt that's in here, what that does is air can come when this unit is extended down and get up into the housing and around and out. That felt helps prevent that. Gives it an additional layer of barrier to the exterior. I'm going to state in this video that automatic door bottoms are elegant. They're elegant solutions to sealing the bottom of the door. And that is the first reason I can come up with why it's elegant. There's a lot more than just a standard door sweep. It's going to capture it at the beginning, and it's going to retard the transmission of anything that gets up and around it, which is of course inherently, part of the design. But nonetheless, this unit from Pemko compensates against that. Okay. Let's go on to talking about the mounting types. Now, this unit can be surface mounted. You can take this, stick it right onto the bottom of the door, and it's surface mounted. You could also take the bottom of that door and route the face of that door all the way down, speaking generally, the depth or the thickness of the housing and the height of the housing, or to whatever height you want to install it at. That's pretty elegant. You don't see that often where it's mortised, but it's really nice when you do see it, because the hardware is less obtrusive at that point and still incredibly effective. There's a third type, a mortise type, and then from there's two derivatives out of mortise type. There's those that get mortised to the bottom of a wood door, and then there are mortise types that can be installed into the inverted bottom channel of a steel door. So that's the third type. How you order this is going to be based on how you're going to mount it, because the length will change. So speaking only specifically for the 4301, we're going to talk about it either being surface mounted or it being mortised flush to the face, or a semi-recess is what they'll call it. Before we do that, talk about ordering it, let's review the link below this video to the, there's two quick links. First of all, there is a printable cut sheet, which is really nothing other than a dimensional drawing of this item. Then you've got your handing chart. This unit is really not handed. You could take it, those holes are just drilled through the unit, and you're going to be supplied with long hand head type screws. Okay, so you can mount that on either side. You're going to want to be real careful if you're surface mounting this. Recess mounting. That screw is pretty long. That screw is way too long. You're going to want to indicate in the comment field, this screw gets us out past 2 inch. So if you're going to mortise this flush, indicate that you're mortising it flush and to send screws with the proper length. And a handing chart. Now this is, like I was saying, it's not handed. However, there are times, and I can't explain why, the factory will ask, what hand is the door? So if you would please indicate the hand of the door at the time of order, that would prevent the possible question that will come up later on down the road, and inherently a possible delay in the order. Now, before we talk about installation but first ordering. Available in several different lengths. If you have need for a custom length, by all means, let us know at the time of order what length you want us to make this material to. You can trim this unit opposite the hinge edge, which we'll talk about in a moment. But with a 3 foot, you can only really cut it down about 3 inch, not really much more. And it's this pin that's here gives evidence to where the inner mechanism resides. So you're going to want to, maybe with this unit, only cut it down about 2 inch. If the door is smaller than 36 inch, you must order it the actual length, because you will not have the ability to trim it in the field. Some people want to trim it in the field. Some people aren't able to measure the door. The job site might be 100 miles away. And if you've got 3 foot doors, plus or minus, sure, that's probably not the biggest deal. However, if at all you can get the actual size, do so, because the factory is manufacturing this automatic door bottom from its constituent components, regardless. No door is actually 36 inch in the sense that ordering this at 36 inch is the actual perfect size. It could be, but it's pretty unusual that it would be. So since the factory is cutting all these parts, just let them cut it to the actual size that you need, preventing you from additional labor, since you're going to be, the lead time of the item being manufactured anyway won't change. It'll save you the additional labor, cutting it in the field, will save you from the possibility of you damaging it or cutting it wrong in the field. Allow the factory to take all that responsibility. They've got the tools and knowledge is set up in order to do that properly, and I suggest that you do that. If you can, please do so. Again, dark bronze anodized housing, sponge neoprene insert, elegant for another reason. This sponge neoprene is just going to seal, and we'll go over the operation of this in a moment, it's just going to seal as it drops down. That sealing, just dropping down, is elegant because you, in that sort of scenario, have an item that is expected, that you can expect to have a very long lifespan. You're not dragging anything across the floor, okay? You're not wearing down the gloss of a Brazilian cherry sort of finish. You might have a rug in front of the door that the door sweep will get caught on. You might have your kids' shoes, and they like to leave them there. And whatever you put on the bottom of the door is going to get ripped off the first time you open up the door, speaking from actual experience. So this sort of item is elegant for those reasons. You could have, floor that you don't want anything dragging against, and this would really solve that well. Air infiltration tested, and that's a reference to that felt that's in there as well, and the width of your seal. Smoke tested, sound seal rated, fire rated. Okay, that's real good stuff right there. I have people that buy these in amateur sound studios and find that they're very effective. Proper STC rated doors, sound transmission control rated doors, are incredibly expensive. That's because they're the science of what's happening. They stop the sound. And a lot of those applications will employ a similar sort of solution. But the poor man's STC rating starts with something like this. It really does. And it is very effective. With the only downside really is that this is a somewhat noisy operation, which I'll talk about before the end of this video. End plates are provided for all mounting applications, and that's a reference to the 2 plates that you're going to get. I'll show you where those go in a moment. This is a low closing force model, and that means it requires very little force to actually get the unit to work. I'll show you that in a moment. Please specify handing. The factory asks for the handing, so just give it to them. And a great sort of item. Now, how to order it. If you're going to surface mount it, which is by far the most common, you will measure the inside width between the stops. This unit's going to be going to be installed on the push side of the door only, regardless of surface or semi-recess. If it's surface, you're going to stand on the push side of the door. Leave the door unlocked before you do that. Close the door, measure the distance between the stops, and then from that point, deduct about 1/8 of an inch. Here's a scenario. Hollow metal door, it's 3 foot wide. A typical hollow metal door, not all, but a typical hollow metal door is 35 3/4. That's actually pretty unimportant. What is important on a 3 foot frame is the distance between the stops. Stops on a hollow metal frame are almost always 5/8 of an inch. So, assuming that that is correct, you've got 36 inch less 5/8, less 5/8. So you're going to have 34 3/4. 5/8 and 5/8 is 1.25 less 36 inch. 34 3/4 should be the distance between the stops. You're going to deduct from that about 1/8 of an inch, so you're at 34 5/8 order size, and that's what you're going to be stuck with for this. You need that 1/8 of an inch clearance just because of the depth. You could probably kick that out to 3/16, but no more than that is necessary. That is your ordering scenario for a surface mount. If you've got a wood door, same logic. You could have a wood door, and that wood door is a full 36 inch wide. That means that the frame's going to be like 35 1/4, 36 inch wide door, 36 1/4, and then you could have 1/2 inch stops. So whatever the case is, just measure between the stops. Deduct 1/8. That's your order size, and indicate that in the comment field at the time of ordering. Now, if you're going to do a semi-mortised, where you're going to route this bottom of your door so that this is flush, let's go over the dimensional properties of this. This is 2 1/8 tall. That is incorrect. This is 1 3/4 tall. That drawing is incorrect. Hopefully by the time you're viewing this video, the correct drawing will be there. 31/32 thick, about 1 inch. If you're going to be semi-mortising this, and by no means can you do this on a fire-rated wood door in the field. Do not. If your door is fire-rated, even if it's 20-minute, do not modify the door in this way at all. You'll have to order the door from the factory specifically made for this. Assuming you have a non-fire-rated door, or assuming that your factory who's making the doors, which of course we supply, is going to prep it for you, you are going to you will at that point then be very much interested to know the actual width of the door, because this is going to stretch the entire width of the door. So if you have that 3-foot solid core oak door in a hollow metal frame in an office situation, you might have something happening in one space that requires less sound to be transmitted. 3-foot frame, it's 36 inch. Let's say your door is 35 13/16 or 35 3/4. It might be beveled. That's going to be real close to your order size. And if it was me, I would probably take the split the difference. If my door was 35 13/16 on the big side, on the pull side, it'd be about 35 11/16 on the push side. I might split that difference a little bit and be right in 35 3/4. You can always, because meaning your door might be beveled, so you don't want it large because it'll be too large on the small side, and you want it small, it'll be too small on the side facing the pull side. You could always get in there with a little file and just trim that down a little bit, I suppose. I've done that before. It's we're talking about is a 1/16 of an inch. It's not really something that you can see. So what you actually order it is, as you can see, dependent on how you're going to mount it. So know that first. Now, how does this thing work? Okay, so all automatic door bottoms from Pemko, they're going to have two ends to them. You're going to have an end with a plunger. This little bolt here I'm going to call a plunger. You're going to have another end, the other end, without that. And that's how you know the difference. One has it and one does not. The side that has it, that is only the hinge side. It can never be the lock side. It's only the hinge side. When this is installed on the hinge side, and the unit is installed onto the door, maximum drop on this, by the way, is 3/4 inch, which is common. Let's know that at this time. So you can count on 3/4 of an inch drop. Keep that in mind in terms of knowing what your undercut is, where the bottom of this unit needs to be installed in order to accomplish that. So, hinge side. When this is installed onto the bottom of the door, and the door is closed, you can envision that when the door is closed, this plunger, which is sticking out right now, will come in contact with either the rabbet of the frame or the stop of the frame. Regardless, it's going to hit an immovable object, and at that point, this will have nowhere to go but in, and as it goes in, it drops that seal down. Being a low closing force model allows me to, with very little force, depress that. Now, it's common for automatic door bottoms to drop that way, unevenly. And here's the real operation. My thumb's going to represent the sill. As soon as the hinge edge comes in contact with the sill, it'll stop, and then it will make the rest of the bottom drop down evenly as it does here. So I restrict it with my thumb down here and forcing the rest of it to drop. Another reason that these are elegant is because an automatic door bottom can tailor itself to a floor that's not level or a door that's not exactly plumb. That's an elegant solution that a door sweep can't handle. Not a wavy, obviously, floor situation. But you could have exterior door in a shop. And here in Chicago, it gets cold. In the winter, your concrete slab seems to rise up. Moisture that gets down underneath your concrete slab freezes, expands a little bit. Now your door doesn't open so well. Well, you can't cut the door down because in the summertime you'll have a huge gap. That's not going to work. Automatic door bottom is perfect for that because you can, get your door to open properly and still provide yourself a seal. So that's another reason these are elegant. So it will tailor itself because it'll be restricted over here. Now, if you were to cut these in the field, do not cut the plunger side. Stay away from that. Cut the lock side. They're kind of like a guillotine in the sense that one end drops and the other comes down. It knifes down. Makes it really nice. Those end plates that we had talked about earlier, you're going to have two of them. One's got the hole for the plunger, the other does not. That's pretty obvious. That's just going to go on there. It's going to dress up your installation. There's two holes here for screws, and those screws are included. Okay. There's another screw. Well, you've got your 4 screws for this 3-foot model to attach it to the door. You've got one other screw to take note of. It's this little short zinc screw. That is specifically for a wood frame. If you have a wood frame, you're going to want to install that flush right at the point where that plunger is going to make contact. Over time, this making contact with wood will create a divot that will prevent that sort of divot in the frame. Now, the adjustment of this, the drop, is directly related to how far the plunger sticks out of the housing. As I rotate this clockwise, it draws the bar in, and when you do your initial installation, you'll want the bar drawn in. Little screwdriver, Phillips head on that. Get it all the way in. Not all the way in, but let it stick out 1/8 of an inch. Immediately, when you get it installed, make sure that's in, and then start to test your operation. Okay? I got it flush, and I don't even get any drop on the other side. Not that I would, but restricting it over here gives me almost no drop at the other end. Back that screw out, 1 or 2 revolutions, test your operation. 1, 2 revolutions, test your operation. Make sure that you get a seal. You don't want an undue amount of pressure pushing it down. It's just not necessary. This making contact with the floor itself is all that you need. If there's undue pressure because you've got this turned out too far, there is a flat spring inside of here that the plunger is connected to that pushes the drop bar down, evidenced by the pin holding it. That flat spring, when it's compressed, when the plunger gets pushed in, bellies and forces the drop bar down. If you've got too much pressure on that flat spring, what will happen is as soon as you go to open your door, the unit is not yet retracting because there's still tension on the flat spring. That will damage the unit. So don't do that. You just want contact, and then at that point you're done. And the amount of drop is, of course, related to the projection of that adjusting nut or plunger, as I'm calling it. Okay, that's how those work. The only comment that I've heard made, if I've sold 10,000 of these, one time out of 10,000, a client will say, I can hear it close. I can hear it clank. And that's true, you can. It never occurred to me for years and years and years until it was mentioned. But that is something that I mention only because I'm aware of it. To me, it's not an issue. To me, these are going to be used in an application where the seal is what's preferred rather than hearing that clanking sound. And it's very likely going to be installed in a commercial application anyway, or a hotel application where you have pairs of doors that require some sort of seal at the bottom. Automatic door bottoms are a good solution for that, and they're not used that often because these are fire doors and corridors, and they're held open with electromagnets connected to the alarm panel. I mention it because I've heard of that. For me, it's not a problem. I'm partial to Pemko's automatic door bottoms. There's a lot of companies that make them. I like Pemko's because they've got automatic door bottoms that range from the economy models, inexpensive. You want to seal off the bottom of your door. Your SA2 would be a great version, or SD2, SD3, inexpensive surface mount. You're going to go with models that are a bit more expensive, better options in terms of seal material, neoprene, silicone versus just a vinyl. You'll be able to get finishes. You can go up to a model like this that will have the felt inserted on the inside to give you a second barrier. You're going to go up to material that's specifically sound rated, acoustical rated. You can get material from them that's intended for use in lead line doors as well. Okay, and all of those different mount types as well. So I'm partial to Pemko because of that. Pemko has an automatic door bottom that's going to fit your budget and fit your requirements very uniquely. Backed by excellent customer service, that is no doubt. The material's made to order as a rule, but their material's always well worth the wait, whatever the lead time might be. But they don't only make automatic door bottoms like this, they make thresholds, perimeter gasketing, material made of aluminum like this, stainless steel, architectural bronze. If it's commercial weather stripping, they manufacture it. Their comprehensive offering is fairly unique. But not only that, residential weather stripping as well. If you have any questions on the Pemko 4301 DRL automatic door bottom or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us.